Hi guys! So welcome to my video. As you can see by the title, I am doing how I fill in my brows. So as you may notice, I do not have my brows done at all. They're still my natural blonde color, which looks so weird to me because normally I have them like a darker brown. So I never leave the house without my brows if I have my makeup on. Now of course if I don't have makeup on, then, I don't care. But when I have like a full face of makeup and I don't have my brows done, I just could look kind of alien-like. So yeah, so I'm just gonna show you how I fill my brows in. Keep in mind that just because the way that I fill my brows in doesn't mean that it's going to be the way that you may fill yours in. This is just showing you basically to get an idea of like if you've never filled your brows in before and how to fill yours in, and to just get like tips and tricks along the way as well. So yeah, let's get started. I hope you enjoy this video, and when I'm done, we'll see my brows all done. So let me zoom you in. All right, so since you're all up close and personal to my brows, I'll go ahead and get started. So this is my brows, naturally blonde. My natural hair color is blonde, so of course I'm gonna have naturally blonde eyebrows. I do not do anything to my eyebrows. I don't ever get them waxed. I don't thread them. I barely even pluck them. Oh, let me get that little mascara off. So I barely even pluck them. So don't feel like you have to do any of that if you don't want to. To be honest, I just don't want to. So I choose not to. So I'm rocking it. Sometimes I'll like pluck like the little like stray ones that are like in here, but other than that, I honestly don't really care. So the product that I use to do my brows is the Anastasia Brow Definer. Now I go back and forth between the Brow Wiz and the Brow Definer. It just really depends on my mood and what I'm into. Like the difference between the two is that the Brow Definer, which looks like, how am I gonna do this? This here, it's the Anastasia Beverly Hills one. The tip of it is, whoops, I dropped it, but the tip of it is going to be at more, let me see if I can get it focused. Is that gonna help? Yes, there we go. At more of an angle like this, and it's gonna be a little thicker. And then the spoolie at the end, it's going to be big like this. So now what the Brow Definer is good for is instantly filling your brows. So it's going to be a little quicker using the Brow Definer, but it can, I feel like, be a little tricky if you're a beginner just because you may not know how to exactly angle it and hold the product. Now the Brow Definer, or not the Brow Definer, but the Brow Wiz, I should say, that one is going to be a smaller, oh my god, there we go, a smaller pencil, and I have it upside down, but a smaller pencil like this. And then the tip of it is going to be small like this, and then the spoolie is going to be like this, so it's going to be skinnier. So now the Brow Wiz, that one is going to be good for more precision work and creating more brush hair type strokes. This one will take a little bit longer to fill in your brows just because it is thinner, but it may be a little easier to use like if you're a beginner. That's the one that I started out using when I first got my my first like name brand brow pencil, you could say. And I just want to make a point that you can use really any brow pencil you want. These are just the ones that I always like to use. I have used other ones like from the drugstore, like Maybelline. I believe L'Oreal may have had one that I've used. I've tried a NYX one. I've also tried Benefit ones as well. But I always end up going back to the Anastasia ones. I just really like her color range the best and just like the way that it performs. But like I said, any brow pencil that you like or that you can afford, use that. So I am specifically in the color dark brown. Now you just want to find a color that suits best for you, either with the hair on your head or your brows, depending on which one you want to match to. Now of course, since my hair is more of like I would say like a, not really plum, but like a purpley red base, I'm not gonna go in with a taupe colored eyebrow pencil because it would just look weird having blonde eyebrows with this color of hair. But it's to each their own. So whichever one matches your hair the best, that's the one that, obviously you're gonna go with. So starting out, I'll take the spoolie end of the brow definer and I'm just going to comb through my brow hairs just to make sure that they're all going in the same direction. You don't want to have your brow hairs all messy and then try to fill it in. Now, taking the actual pencil part of the product, you can map out your eyebrows. So what mapping out is that you're gonna go from the corner of your nose and then you're gonna go up and then that is where your brow is going to start. When you go from the side of your nose like this and then angle it above like your pupil area, that's where your arch is going to be. And then when you angle it outward from the corner of your nose, that is where your tail is going to end. And it's okay if you have to extend the tail out a little bit, that's fine. That's just a way that you can map out your brows to make sure that you're getting the dimensions correct. If you don't map out your brows, it's not that big of a deal. I never used to. And even after mapping my brows out for a while, I'll still do it like up in the front and the tail, but I kind of get the idea of where my arch is gonna be. So you may get used to, you know, the shape of your brows and where, you know, those placements need to be. So let me go ahead and do this. So then I'll start off drawing underneath of my brow. And if you use the brow definer, notice the pointier end right there, up here in the front, that's the end that I'm using currently. And you're gonna want to go in with a lighter hand because you don't want your brows to be super dark and harsh. Like we've all been there, I've been there where they've been too thick, too dark, not any, like, just wasn't a good time. So I'm gonna get the arch, or not the arch, but the tail. And then I'll just drag that down. And keep in mind too, that your brows are sisters and not twins. So for instance, for my brows, this one that I'm doing a lot right now, it's a lot more rounded, and you may be able to tell it's a lot more rounded versus this one. It has a little bit more of like an arch to it. So you just have to work with them. It can be difficult sometimes, but like I said, sisters, not twins. All right, so then once I have my line filled underneath of my brow of where I want it to be and like the shape and everything, then I'll go in with not the angle side anymore, if this will focus, not the angle side, but more of like the flat side of it. And then I'll start to lightly fill it in. And notice how I'm not filling in the front right now. I will show you what I do with the front in a little bit, but I'm just lightly filling it in, like so. This feels so weird to me because I'm so used to being so up close in like a mirror, and I'm just trying to look at like the screen on my camera, so I feel so distant and far away. So I'm just filling it in. And I feel like I do my brows so weird. Like everybody has like their own routine of how they do them. So when you find something that's like good for you, then that's great. I just feel like I do mine so weird compared to everybody else. I like fill it in, and then I'll take the pencil lightly. I will go over like on the top of it. And then I'll round out the arch. And then bring it down and connect the tail. Just like connecting the dots. Like so. So I still have some blank spots in there and I'm gonna fill those in, but first I personally like to spoolie it out, and your spoolie is gonna be used for blending. So when in doubt, use your spoolie, it'll help blend the color. And even like those extra little hairs that I like don't ever pluck, like push them upward into my brow. And I may have to look away too to make sure, like looking up close, that my brow looks okay. I may have to do that in a minute. All right, so I'm gonna lightly go in and fill in those spots that didn't get covered from blending. There it is. You may have to fix a little bit, either by rounding a little bit more. And then just go in and continue blending. Push those extra hairs down because I don't ever pluck those and I don't really care to pluck them. All right, so now doing the front end of the brow, I'm gonna bring this color, forward, so I'm gonna just blend it forward. And you're gonna wanna keep the front of your brow a little bit lighter. And the reason being is because you don't want it to be super bold and harsh up in the front, because then that makes you look like you have angry eyebrows, and nobody wants to have those angry eyebrows. I'm just gonna bring front area in, and then I'm taking the, oh my god, I'm dropping my pencil, but I'm taking the flat, like top part, like this part here of the brow pencil, and then I am just like flicking upward. And that's another thing as well that you want to do, is whatever direction that your brow hairs are facing, that's the direction you want your pencil to go. So for instance, typically up in the front of your brow, your hairs are going to be facing vertically, so you want to move your pencil vertically. And as your hairs like go towards the tail of the brow, they're going to start moving more horizontally, so then that's how you want to face the brow pencil when filling it in. So that's just another tip right there as well. It just helps create like those natural strokes. And I'll blend that out. And those hairs up. All right, so I'm gonna look away real quick in my mirror that I have sitting next to me and make sure that this brow is looking okay up close. And then if I need to fix anything, I'll come back and show you what I am doing. So I'll be right back. All right, so everything's good with that brow. Nothing needs fixed, so let's move on to the next. So I'm just gonna do the exact same thing as I did on this side. I'm going to comb the hairs out. Make sure they're all going in the same direction. And now with this brow, I have more sparse hairs that are up towards the front that don't get filled in, because when I angle my pencil upward to do the measuring, it starts back further on my brow, and my brow actually moves, like is up further up here. I just don't want to pluck those hairs, just because I don't, so I just leave it, and it's not that big of a deal. It looks perfectly fine. So let's map this out. Make sure I got my pencil the right way. Map out the tail. And then there is my line underneath of my brow. It's okay if your tail is a little bit, not like super bold, but is a little bolder, because really you're gonna want your brow, like I said, to be lighter up front and then it get darker back towards the tail. All right, so let me go look at this brow in the mirror and then I'll be right back. All right, so there are both of my brows filled in. This next step that I'm going to do, it's optional. I just really started doing it within the past, I don't know, like 9 months maybe, but I just like the way it looks, so it's not necessary, but I'm just gonna show you the rest of my brow routine and how I do it, so you can have different options of how, like what you wanna try out and what you think you may like. So the next product that I'm gonna go in with is this Gimme Brow from Benefit. And what this is, it just comes in a little teensy wand like this. And it's going to be more like a tinted brow gel, and it does have fibers in it as well. So the fibers are going to help with like thickening the look of your brow. I don't use it for that purpose. I just do it just to add like a little bit more dimension because it coats the hairs a little more. So then it makes your brow hairs stick out a little bit more and gives them more dimension versus just seeing the, you know, the pencil laying on your brow hairs. So I am in the shade 3.5, and I believe that's more of like a warm auburn shade, which works well for me because like I said earlier, my hair is more of like a deeper, like a purple red base. So it gives a little bit more red back into my brows. So just taking a little bit of it, I will just coat the hairs lightly. I'm putting more of the product on the hairs versus like the skin. I don't really want it to tint my skin. I just want to do the brow hairs. So I'm going in like that, and then I won't leave it like this. I'll go back in with my spoolie, and then I will blend that out. Like so. All right, and then another step that I actually forgot to do, like I don't need to do it right now, but actually I could do it. I could do it like right there. It's a little bit darker. If you ever feel like you mess up on your brows, that concealer brush that I mentioned in my last video, this one right here with the pointed tip, it's the Sigma, let's see, F75 concealer brush. You can take that and a little bit of concealer, or really any concealer brush that you have. It doesn't necessarily have to be this one. Get a little bit on the brush because a little bit's going to go a long way. You don't want a lot of product to be on your brush. And then you can just run it along the area that needs fixed, or if you need to sharpen your tail up a little bit. The concealer is going to act like an eraser. So like I said in my last video, it's going to act like an eraser for sharpening up the tail of the brow or fixing any mistakes that you may have done. If maybe you got like a little too heavy-handed or thick like in one area, just take a little bit of concealer and then blend that out. Make sure that you get it blended in though, like the concealer, especially if it's a lighter concealer, just because you don't want that obvious, you know, mark of, you know, concealer around your brows. So just like make sure that you get it all blended in, and that's why it's good to go in with a little amount, just because so you know that you're not going to put too much on. It's always easier to go in with a little bit and add more than to add too much and then to take away and try to blend it in. So once I have that all done, and typically with the concealer, I would have gone in with that before this Benefit Brow product that I just used. I just forgot to mention it a little bit earlier. So then the very last step that I'll do is go in with my Anastasia, and mine's dirty, so I'm sorry about that, but my Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. Is it upside down? Whatever. But my clear brow gel. And this is, like, I always recommend using a clear brow gel. Even if you don't use, you know, the Benefit one that has like a tint to it, at least go in with a clear brow gel, just because it's going to help set your brows and it's going to help keep your brow color in place and your brow color stay on longer throughout the day. It's no different than using a setting spray at the very end of your makeup. It's going to essentially be the same concept, but just for your brows. So it goes on clear, and you only need a little bit, and I like to comb up through my brows just to add a little bit of volume to them. but you only need a little bit. And then I comb that up. So it'll really last you a while. It'll go on kind of like a wet consistency, but then it'll dry down and it'll stay clear as well. So comb those up, and then that is it for my brows. So let me zoom you back out and then I'll do my outro and then you can see the final look from a little bit of a distance. Okay, so here are my brows completely filled in. It looks so much better, right? Like I don't look like an alien anymore with like my dark hair and then my makeup all done and then my blonde eyebrows. So I hope you learned something today. Keep in mind, just because this is the way that I filled in my eyebrows, it doesn't mean that you'll fill yours in the same way, because I went in with a lot of random, confusing steps, I feel like, but hey, it works for me, right? So once you find something that works for you, stick with it and run with it. I will list all of my products that I used down below, including both of the different eyebrow pencils. So then if it's something that you're interested in, then you can take a look and see for yourself. Like I said earlier, I really go in between both of them. I like them both. They both have the same formula. They're just built a little bit differently. The one that I use, the brow definer, that one's gonna be a little bit thicker and a little bit more of an awkward shape. So if you're just starting out with brows, I would recommend trying the Brow Wiz, which would be the smaller one, and then practice with that. And then if you're interested in the brow definer, then you can check that out and then try that one for yourself and see if you like it. But yeah, so I hope you learned something today. If you have any questions, just let me know and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.